Just
I
to
have
keep
6
her.
o'clock.
It's exciting.
She's a good kid.
You can get to our
We're
meetings.
recording. We'll call the Monday, May 6th, Emmaus Borough Council meeting to order.
Yeah.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I
Allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start out here with personal appeals part 1. We have nobody in the audience and we have nobody online. Does anybody have a community minute to share?
I do, Mr. President.
Yep, go ahead, Madam Mayor.
Yesterday in the rain, we had the ribbon cutting for the farmer's market. So the farmer's market is now open from now until the end of December, I believe it runs. And I believe it's closed on Christmas Day. I believe that might be a Sunday this year. So come on out, see what they have to offer. It was quite cold and we did get quite wet, but they have over 30 vendors this year. So check it out. And also on the 27th of this month, we have the Memorial Day Parade forming at the high school and leaving at 9:30. Correct. Okay. And it leaves at 9:30. Mr. Anders?
No, I have.
Oh. Hi.
one
I'm
here.
good.
Yes, just a quick reminder that our pool passes are for sale. You can purchase them in person or online. Many people have received the nice pamphlet that we have here in front of us. And also lifeguards. If anybody knows a lifeguard, we could use some more lifeguards here for the pool, have them apply. And with that, progress.
Any more? Hearing none. Next up, we have a special presentation from the Emmaus Veterans Committee. And they're going to show us what the new Emmaus Memorial Triangle will look like here in the future.
Oh, you got to buy it now.
Probably was.
That's okay.
It's gonna be on the screen.
Here,
That's true.
I'll move down further. You can. Hey, guys, I can move over once.
No, we're fine.
And Kate, I don't think you can see, you don't see that.
Yes.
Members of council, Madam Mayor, Mr. Pepe, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to share tonight. My name is Ben Brown. I'm a lifetime resident of the borough and currently the president of the Emmaus Veterans Committee. With us tonight, we have John Nyer. He's our vice president and the Memorial Day chairman, and also Andrew Carpenter, owner of Stillwater's Grounds and Maintenance, who is our landscape architect for this project. Mr. Iyer is going to share the vision behind this.
The vision, okay. Actually, this vision started probably 4 or 5 years ago by us just talking about it. And I remember, I don't know if member Shane remembers, but about 2 years ago, we talked about the parade and I talked to you about redoing the triangle and you said, bring me something. Well, it took us a couple of years, but we're bringing you something now. And thanks to Stillwater's, the concept, our vision was that the memorial should signify with the flags and the 2 memorials. That's what it's about. And that's what we wanted. That's the centerpiece and the focus point of what was designed by them. And, we as the committee, the Veterans Committee, really, when we got these, we were like blown away by it because we had never anticipated to look like this. And I think it would be a great addition to the borough and for the community to see this. And, when your approval comes, when it comes today, I plan on showing this to the community on Memorial Day. So, that's just a subtle hint that, I know you guys will approve. No. So if you have any questions, I I know you all had it in your packets, probably saw it for a while. You looked at it. I'm not sure if you have any questions.
So, Mr. Iyer, first of all, thank you and the entire committee. I do remember that conversation. As a matter of fact, I was actually, I think I was telling Mr. Hohenscheid today that it was like 2 years ago
Was it
that
three?
you and I had this conversation about, how cool would it be if we redid this triangle and made it more of a destination rather than, a lot of people don't really know what it's about. And I got to be honest with you, I'm blown away by the design. This is much more than you and I had ever discussed, and I think it looks awesome. I really do.
Thank you. Well, you told us, remember I taught you, we taught you this year. You said we had a blank slate, so we took advantage of that.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
Yeah,
not-
the nice thing about the piece of property is it's not like we're removing anything of significance to build something, so
Right.
it really is kind of a blank slate of a piece of property to
Yeah.
do with it what could be very significant to the community.
Right. And we're keeping, like the garden club does the flowers. We're keeping that area I don't know if that shows up on one of the slides. You can see we're still keeping the area that the garden there. Yeah. And because I know the garden club likes doing that, and that's their give back to the community. So we're still have the areas for them to do their flowers and what they do for us. So, and we are going to talk with them about this and show this to them and get, input from the community to see if any other ideas or what the concept works for everybody. This is the first stage of it, but I know that talking with Shane, we needed to do something in order to go out and even try and get some money, to get some grant money. So, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, as I mentioned during the last committee meeting, I was in my car, but
Okay.
so it was kind of hard to see things at the time. But what I mentioned then, and now having more time to really look at this, that piece of property I feel is overlooked by too many people because it just kind of blends in. And this, not just for the residents of Emmaus and the veterans of Emmaus and their families, but I can see this drawing veterans in from around the region. Once this becomes a reality, my neighbor, Fred Furster, would often talk to me about working down there. And I think this is what the community needs, and it's what the veterans deserve. So thank you for the time and effort you've put into this.
Thank you. It's been an effort by a lot of us. So it's not only me, and the biggest effort was by Stillwater's. There's no doubt. They're the ones that designed it. I never had this in my head. I said, well, we have a circle here, put the flags around it, and they did the design. So I can't give them, I have to give them all the credit. But they did a fabulous job. And I don't know if you want to hear monetarily what you think this is going to cost.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think if council votes to approve this concept, I would also ask council to allow me to go help you look for grant money for it as well. I know that you're going to do fundraising efforts, but I'm imagining that this is going to be pretty significant cost wise.
Well, Stillwater's gave us an estimate of 120,000.
Well, that's a few 100,000 less than I thought it would be.
That's two.
Us too. But, and credit to them, they're a community company. They're in Emmaus. And that's one of the reasons why that Ben knows them and contacted them, because we wanted, I didn't know any architects, landscape architects out there. And I wanted somebody local, somebody who has a tie to this area, and they have that tie. So I think their give back is fabulous, unbelievable.
Can I ask, did they offer a timeline for once it's funded, how long it would take to actually create that, build the space?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Some rent work have to be done. We were doing all the trees, but
It would be something we would do.
you said the trees were cutting down, but something is probably be in about 4 weeks-ish, give or take. Now, like I said, that was kind of like a ballpark I gave them, so we kind of get the exact materials figured out.
Thank you for that.
Good, good.
And the only thing I guess we should point out as well is there is currently a tree and plaque on that triangle dedicated to John Rice. We talked to Shane in one of our initial meetings and asked if that tree could be moved. And he said it would work well with the redesign of Lions Park, going with the fire theme and Mr. Rice's dedication to the fire service, to have that tree and that memorial moved to Lions Park. So we can solely have this dedicated as the Emmaus Veterans Memorial Triangle. So I guess we're asking for that as well.
I mean, really, as a timeline, it would be fantastic for next year. We don't know if that's possible, maybe 2 years down the road, but we'll see. But the sooner, I told them I want to see it in my lifetime. So I'm getting old, so we got to get moving on it.
So, so I think timeline depends on a couple things, right? So first is, one would be, fundraising on your behalf, right? How much money you would be able to fundraise. Secondly, would be how much money, if Borough Council is to approve this, how much money the borough would be willing to put into it. But the major part of that would be if we went for a grant. Right. So if we apply for a grant, that's where the timeline starts to stretch, because something like this it could be a DCED grant, it could be a DCNR grant. And so those timelines are usually like an April 1st application, somewhere in there. Usually they're early spring. We don't find out until like September, October. The grant agreements usually don't reach our hands until the following January. So now we're already in year 2. And then we would have 2 to 3 years to execute. So you'd probably be looking, if it's grant money funding, we're probably looking like from today's date, probably look at 3 years, to be honest. If it was grant money funding it. If it was private donations and you guys were 100% funding the project, then to be honest with you, it would be on your timeline. If the borough is funding the project, it's not going to cost $120,000. It's going to cost more. And the reason is because by law, we have to bid it out. By law, we have to use state wages. So that drives up your contractor's cost. I'm sure he probably didn't factor in what prevailing wage would be on a project like this. But normally we tell you take 30% and then add it to what a normal project would be. I mean, that's part of the problem with funding a public project is, if it's a municipally funded or municipally owned project and we're the ones putting the bill, you have to use those state wages for it, that prevailing wage. So both cost and timeline could be driven up based on who's doing the funding and where the source of funding is from.
Yeah. I mean, we're hoping to fundraise as much as we can of it. We haven't started really fundraising, but I know that the Veterans Committee and some of the other local areas, we do have some seed money, like maybe 15 grand or so that we have set to start this, or as a way to start it. And I'm actually going to try and convince the community on Memorial Day that, hey, we need their help. This is a lot of people from the high rise go there and sit in there during the day. Every day I walk by there every day, and there's a lot of people from the high rise that go and just sit there and relax. So this would make it really a beautiful place for them. So I'm going to try and, the businesses in the community and the people in the community, like the guys with the money, Brett, So yeah, we do plan on doing as much fundraising as we can, because we really like to get this, But I still think we still need to think about grant money at some point.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, fundraising $120,000, that's a haul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, like you said, you know, the rich people in town, like Mr. Lavenberg, he might just got a check to you.
Shane, would this be something any of our service clubs would be interested in or could help out in?
So I think so. I think
Like
that's
Rotary?
another, I think that's another opportunity is some of the other organizations in the community might be very interested in partnering and helping you with. Yeah.
Hey, John, maybe even at the Emmaus Farmers Market, have a booth set up. If you can, a tent, they do different things and maybe get some extra funds while the people are coming through at the farmers market.
Good idea. Yeah, we can do that. I'll contact her.
And Mr. Pepe, question, if the borough contributes, decides to budget and help to finance the project, does that, even if it's not the whole thing, does that still
So
lock us in?
So
through
we have
state
the
wages?
right to donate money to the nonprofit organization. And what they do with it could be up to them. So there might be a way to do that, but we'd have to kind of look at the legalities of exactly where that line would be. Because in an ideal world, right? Donate whatever portion of it is to it, and that way it's still their money funding and avoid. But I'm not sure where that legality lies there. That's why we have a solicitor to, even though he doesn't look like our normal solicitor today.
Oh, that's our solicitor?
You started it.
Mhm.
I did not start it. I walked in.
And you said you hated me right out of the gate.
No,
He
you
said
didn't.
it to me. He said he hated me first.
He doesn't want to talk to me, so.
So are we able to, and I guess this is for the solicitor, are we able to, this is me over here. Are we able to put this forward as a motion to approve the concept now?
Yes, you can approve the concept, but what you can't do is commit funds and or commit to any type of obligations or any type of contractual obligations. But as a concept, you can agree that, the borough supports this and we look forward to seeing greater details.
So it's under special presentations today
Yeah.
on the agenda. And the
So
real question is, do we need to add this to the agenda, like vote to add it to the agenda and all that
So
stuff?
there's been some recent case law, and I imagine that's what you're thinking of.
Yes.
I would probably recommend we wait to the next, and this has nothing to do with you guys. There's been a new case out that would indicate to me it would be better to move this to an action item on the next agenda, maybe on the next May meeting where they vote on the concept. But
Since it is in the minutes from Parks and Rec, wouldn't it still be able to be an actionable item?
I didn't.
It's not on the agenda.
We
Well,
discussed
so-
it. It should be in our minutes that we discussed this.
It is.
For Parks and Rec, I just see the meeting notes.
So,
Right, so if it's
That's
in the
where-
meeting note.
yeah,
that's
it's under
what
the
I'm
meeting
saying,
notes,
it
but,
is in there.
so on the agenda, under special presentations, it says Memorial Triangle Redesign Project. Now, again, if you don't feel comfortable, we're only talking about 2 weeks.
Would it hurt us to wait the 2 weeks? That's what I want to ask the question.
Well,
there.
so the only
Is there
kicker-
a detriment to you guys if we wait the 2 weeks? Do I think anybody's going to object to this? Probably not. But technically speaking, would the public be aware that a vote was coming? I don't know.
So let me ask this question then.
Yeah.
Based on the presentation, council members, can we get some of your individual feedback about how you feel about this design? Is this something that you feel good about? Is this something that you feel
I
weary
think
about?
it-
Because I think this might give them
What they need.
an idea of like, hey, we can start preparing for the Memorial Day parade based on the feedback that they're getting from us, because we have the right to at least give them feedback individually here without a formal vote. And then at the next council meeting, we
think
could
Sean has-
formally
The
vote.
committee was 3-0 in support of it,
Correct.
just saying, so.
Yep.
To answer your question, I think this is wonderful. I have no objections. And from my perspective, I think you can go ahead with any fundraising efforts that you're planning to do for the Memorial Day. But I had a question about what we would vote for maybe in the next meeting. Because it sounded like there would be three things. One, we have the design. The other was potentially Shane pursuing grants might be a vote. And then the other, do we have to vote on relocating the tree?
So the grant one unquestionably does have to be voted
Okay.
on. You have to authorize him to do that.
Fourth thing too, the renaming.
Yeah, so let's start with the easy one. The tree, I don't need you to vote on. You didn't vote to
Yeah.
put the tree in to
Yeah.
begin with.
Okay.
So I don't think you would need
That
to
would just
vote.
be part of the design, right?
That would be
The-
part of the
yep.
design, yeah. But yeah, I
should-
think that the official name, right? Because you're looking for a new official name
Yep.
of the
Right.
park. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that's its own agenda item.
Mhm.
Definitely the grant application. And normally we do that with a
Mhm.
resolution when we're applying for the grant, but I think it would be good now for you just to do a vote to start researching funding opportunities.
And
And then 3 would be
the
the
design itself,
design itself.
which actually I would also recommend be a vote because let's say, God forbid the committee changes and they come back with a different plan, then you'd want them to come back with something new as opposed to a new plan that says something horrible on it or something like that. So. Sorry, I have to think of the worst possible scenario.
No, that's okay. I just, to be sure though, we could progress with fundraising right now. That's not a hold, that we don't have to wait till the next
No.
meeting for you to vote it in. We can start fundraising and
No,
getting our capital and,
you're a separate entity. You have every right to do that moving forward.
okay, thank you.
And it doesn't sound like there's anyone objecting to this. I didn't hear anybody at least.
So 3 things: design concept, grant application,
And then renaming.
renaming.
Yeah, so this is just at this point, I think we're all in agreement, but just to follow the law to a T, we need to put the items on the agenda for 2 weeks from now, which still gets you out ahead of, you'll get official word before the Memorial Day celebration. So
You want us back here on next meeting?
So does anybody have any, are there any does anybody not have a warm and fuzzy about those 3 ideas? Because if it's going to be something that we think needs to be more discussion or more debate, then I would suggest they come. If it's, hey, we feel really good about this, I don't know that we would need you to come unless you're really bored on a Monday night. John, I mean, I know that.
He's retired.
You want to check with Nate?
Where's Nate?
You want
be
to
there
check with
for
Nate? I
the
saw
official word.
Right.
Shane,
Shayna's right. I
texted-
think we should check with Nate.
I've texted him.
So Shane, I do have one question. Is there anywhere in the borough where we maintain hedges, where we trim hedges? Because I can't think of any, but it doesn't mean there aren't any.
Yeah, I mean, so we have a couple different parks where there's hedges that we have to trim.
That's all I needed. to
Yeah.
know. Okay.
I do have one other question though. The sidewalk that's there. You willing to redo that? Because it's really bad.
So as part of your redesign, we would be willing to redo that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Because it's really, and it would really take away from the whole project if it's not.
Yeah, no, I don't think we would want you to spend all that time and effort and money and then, the sidewalk was fine.
Here's where.
I
here's
figured
what I
you'd
have
say
to
that,
vote.
but I was just
You
throwing
did,
that out.
Just to
So.
make sure you got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I
Thank you.
just ask one question? So from what I understand, it sounds like you didn't speak with the group that maintains the flower beds.
Yes, we're in, yeah.
Okay, so that might be something just to follow up with them to make sure that
Oh,
that,
yeah,
I
we-
mean, that's the only other potential. And that they're willing to help maintain the flowers with your plan. Yeah.
There's no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. to the
Thank you,
vets.
guys.
Thank you.
I would like to thank members of the veterans community for support of our project.
You guys want to grab a group photo before?
Yeah, with your-
Absolutely. You guys want to have a photo?
with your images.
Yeah, maybe hold the image.
Yeah, why don't we
Design.
or we could just turn them around because I know I saw the press.
Yeah, why don't you pick up the,
members
pick
here.
up the, imaging.
Or maybe each one of you hold one.
We recess. Recess to.
Hey, maybe.
We're gonna take a brief recess here at 6:25.
Instead of that.
Go ahead.
All right, we're gonna call the meeting back to order at 6:28. Is there a motion to accept the April 15th council meeting minutes?
So moved.
Ms. Watt, is there a second? Mr. Labenberg, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
I didn't hear Nate. Is he actually there?
He's muted.
Yeah, I've asked him to.
He's got a thumbs up.
I don't know if that's legal, Mr. Counselor.
Oh, there you go.
Technically, I do not believe emojis count as
Go ahead, Nate.
votes, but
Yeah, go ahead.
Aye.
We have no volume.
aye.
He's talking, his microphone's going.
you just muted yourself.
I said aye.
Hey, go ahead and talk again.
Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2, 3,
Yeah, his microphone's
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah, but
10.
we're not hearing. I'm not even
He
hearing.
doesn't have his volume up.
I don't know if it's his side or ours.
Maybe his volume.
Oh, nonetheless.
So is that a 6 vote and 1 emoji?
It's going to be, the official record has to say 6-0. I do not
6-0.
believe thumbs up emoji counts as a vote. I do not believe that has been tested in court, but what do I
Always
know?
a first.
Groundbreaking. Is there a volume for the speaker?
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not the issue. I think it might be coming from his side. Hey, there he is.
Just that.
Is that a yes or a no?
That's a yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It says yes.
He's shaking his head yes too.
What if he has a written I on a board that he can
Just give it, it's fine. It passes no matter what. I'm not gonna waste your actual time and money researching this. I'm not, until it becomes an issue unless 3 of you are in line.
Can you talk now, Nate? We can't hear you.
That's okay. Check 1, 2.
Well, you won't be able to give a committee report.
It's froze.
But yeah, that-
Okay, just continue on.
All right, so we have no decisions on bids. Under communications, we have a Patricia Mayo who is applying for the volunteer position in the Emmaus Arts Commission that we will send over to CRD to schedule an interview. Borough Engineers report, we have none. Mr. Solicitor, your report?
No report. Progress.
Thank you. Under unfinished business part 1, we will have the final and last reading of 4 ordinances. We're going to start out with ordinance 1261, and it is an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending chapter 15, subsection 406 and subsection 602.3 of the codified ordinances, amending several sections of the Borough of Emmaus parking regulation. So this is the one on Jubilee Street. So this is right outside of here of Town Hall. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 1261?
So moved.
Ms. Baumgartner, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Anders. Is there any further discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Roll call. All of them are roll call.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
What do we do with Nate?
Just nod his head
Yeah.
All right.
and give the thumbs up just for entertainment value.
There you go.
All right. Mr. Brown is aye. Ms. Watt,
Aye.
Mr. Anders,
Aye.
Mr. Labenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Hohenscheid,
Aye.
Ms. Baumgartner,
Aye.
Mr. Balliot, aye. 7 ayes. Next up is ordinance 1262. And this is adding a, bless you,
Thank you.
a handicap spot in front of 611 Walnut Street. So it's ordinance 1262, an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 15, subsection 602.3.a of the Emmaus Borough Code, amending the residential disabled parking sign and continuing to assign permitted parking spot on the public street located in front of 611 Walnut Street within the Borough of Emmaus. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
1262, Mr. Hohenscheid, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Watt, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Roll
Roll
call.
call.
Roll call.
Vote. Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Ms. Watt,
Aye.
Mr. Anders,
Aye.
Mr. Labenberg,
Aye.
Mr. Hohenscheid,
Aye.
Ms. Baumgartner,
Aye.
Mr. Valiant, aye. At least I'm consistent.
I can't help but laugh at the emoji thing.
We're gonna change case law here.
You don't want to be the ones to change case law ever.
No, we're done being pioneers.
All right,
Mhm.
next up is ordinance 1263. And that is an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 15, subsection 405.1.1 and 405, subsection 405.1.2.a of the Emmaus Borough Code to amend the definition of commercial motor vehicles. This was a long discussion. Does anybody have anything to add on this? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Ms. Baumgartner, a second?
Second.
Mr. Labenberg? Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Watt?
Aye.
Mr. Anders?
Aye.
Mr. Labenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Hohenscheid?
Aye.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Aye.
Mr. Balliet? Aye. Last ordinance here is ordinance 1264, an ordinance of the Borough of Emmaus, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 15, subsection 214 of the Emmaus Borough Code, establishing a stop sign at multiple intersections within the Borough of Emmaus. Do I have a motion for ordinance 1264?
So moved.
Ms. Baumgartner, seconded by Mr. Anders. Do we have any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple of things. So I spent some time today driving around the alleys of Emmaus, specifically the intersections that are listed in the proposed ordinance. And looking at the budgeted amount of $35,000, and I know that this is only phase one of this, and I know that this predates me as a council member. There are at least 15 stop signs, and this is taking out some of those that approach the more main roads, that it's almost impossible to move through those intersections without stopping by default. They're so narrow, they're so tight, the turns are so tight. I question whether spending this much money on all of these stop signs that, I don't know, to me just seem like common sense places that you're not going to be rolling through. I just question whether it's the best way to spend $35,000 plus another 35 and another 35 and another 35.
The only comment I would say with regard to that is the enforceability is the factor. So if there were to be an issue there was an accident, they couldn't enforce anything because somebody did not stop because there's no stop sign there. So that's part of the layer to this.
And that's literally what Ms. Baumgartner hit the nail on the head. That is exactly what I was going to say. It's an enforceability issue for the police. While if there's no stop sign listed, if somebody does run that, even though it is common sense and you would think they would stop, It's not going to stop, some 16-year-old kid with a license running through that. And then if a police officer sees them, they wouldn't be able to enforce it because there's no valid stop sign there. That's really what it is. It's an enforceability issue.
Mr. Lindberg?
So Chris, that's why I asked if we're moving on with the other phases. Because I'm in favor of ending it with just this because we prioritize the most traveled roads theoretically. I'm fine with ending it after this. I lived here my whole life. I lived in those alleys by Fifth Street. I grew up there. And you're right. You're not going to go busting through those stop signs. It just doesn't happen. And I just would not support any more after this. These are the high priorities that were supposedly brought up, and I support that.
Mr. Anderson?
Just one question, and I guess, Mr. Solicitor, person goes through it, let's just say, unfortunately, right in the side, and a person perishes. For the borough not to have a stop sign, would we be liable?
Yes.
You would certainly be sued as part of there's an argument that you could be sued. Now, you would have some valid defenses. Your insurance would cover that. That would not be me, so it's not out of pocket, but it could raise your rates. I mean, unless I'll pass to the borough manager and if he disagrees with me, but I think that's a fair interpretation.
I mean, we can get sued. I mean, look,
You
we've
get
gotten
sued for
sued for
anything.
somebody falling on somebody else's sidewalk, right? And we've gotten sued and handed out a paycheck to somebody because they climbed over a no trespassing fence, right? So we get sued for anything. There may be some level of liability, and that was kind of the discussion from the solicitor when the police department went through and what was it, like 275, Mayor? 275 stop signs or something that
Close
over
before
a
that.
3-year phase. Do I agree with you? It's a lot of stop signs. Do I think that there may be some other priority spots that we need to look at? In addition to maybe what they already did, probably, because I think what they did was they said, okay, let's stop at whatever the council's budget was this year. So could I see maybe a lighter phase 2? Absolutely. Do I think that you need a stop sign at every single one of these spots? Like Mr. Hohenscheid said, like one of them is literally like, if you keep going, you're going to land in the railroad tracks. We're not sure that you need a stop sign for that but at the same time, if you don't put one there and they land in the railroad tracks, can we get sued? Sure. But again, we get sued for people doing their own.
You could say right outside council here,
Like
if
that
you
said-
come out and you're at the end of the building here, there's no stop sign. If you go that way, there's a stop sign.
That said, Mr. Andrews, like I said, I was saying you could be sued for anything. I think there's minimal liability for some of these, but it doesn't hurt to belt and suspenders these sort of things. So you certainly can say, your insurance company can tell them they have no interest in a settlement as opposed to having to write a small check.
And Mr. Hohenscheid, I agree with what everyone else is saying as well. This material has already been purchased and Public Works already has it. So this is basically just giving them the green light to stick up the sign. So even if we got enough support to say no to this, we end up with 60 stop signs now sitting out at the Public Works garage. But I think it's something that we'll go through in public safety and look at real hard and whatnot this year. And it'll definitely be a part of our budget item.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Watt?
Aye.
Mr. Anders?
Aye.
Mr. Levenberg?
Aye.
Mr. Hohenscheid?
Aye.
Ms. Baumgartner?
Aye.
Mr. Balliet? Aye. We have no new business. We have no unfinished business part 2. Does anyone have any items that are not on the agenda they would like to bring forward? Hearing and seeing none. Madam Mayor's report.
Thank you. On your iPad this evening, you will see that there are 4 proclamations. First one is Proclamation 2024-589 in recognition of International Compost Awareness Week, which is May 5th through the 11th this year. And the theme is Compost, Nature's Climate Champion. You have Proclamation 2024-590 for, in recognition of Police Week. Police Week is May 12th to the 18th, and I proclaim that week be known as Emmaus Police Department Week. Also, you have Proclamation 2024-591 that is in recognition of Emergency Medical Services Week. That week runs May 19th to the 25th this year, and the theme is honoring our past and forging our future. You also have Proclamation 2024-592, which is in recognition of National Public Works Week. And Public Works Week this month rather, is May 19th to the 25th, and the theme is advancing quality of life for all. I will also be issuing the proclamation for Memorial Day closer to Memorial Day. With that, that's all the proclamations I have for tonight. And I did start, and I know you all got your emails, National Night Out. I started working on that. I have Bordego Bistro coming as a food truck this year. Kindness Project will be here. I have the Rotary Lions and Kiwanis Clubs coming this year. I have DJ Dutch. Yes, August 6th, 2024, from 6 to 8, right out here at Town Hall. And I believe this year we might have the Bearcat from the LERT, Lehigh County Emergency Response Team as well. And we'll have fire, ambulance, dunk tank. We'll have everything again and a little bit more. So with that, I report progress.
Very exciting. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Up next, we're going to run through our committee reports. Public Works, Mr. Anders.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is nothing for official action this evening. Our next meeting is scheduled for May 13th at 4:45. However, we may look to cancel that meeting due to other obligations that evening. So I'll report progress for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Health, Sanitation, and Codes is going to be Mr. Brown. And
He's
I
got it. He's got it. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just real brief, we've been hitting the topic of the zoning ordinance. We've been meeting with the task force. We also have been meeting with the committee, and we've been going over a bunch of topics such as the accessory dwelling units, also topics such as parking, short-term rentals, things of that nature, and trying to come up with a lot of good discussion. It is difficult because you can go down a lot of rabbit holes, a lot of different trails of what if this person does this. And we talked about tiny homes, building tiny homes, and how big of a square foot should a home be in the borough. So there's been a lot of great discussion. We got one more task force meeting coming up here, probably at the end of the month in May. Also, I'll be discussing with the committee what the last meeting was, what the results came from that meeting. And then from then on, we should have something to the council. Hold on one second, I'm getting feedback. We should have something to council by the end of June, which then will go through the process of Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, our planning commission, our zoning, and then back to council for final approval by August. So again, there's a lot here. If you want more questions or you have concerns, let me know. I continue to try to keep the ball rolling on this because there's so much. With that, I move on to the next subject, which is the refuse bid spec. We're continuing to work on that. I would love to know, I was remembering Councilman Lavenberg. He had, back in the first days of when after JP Mascaro and then Raritan and those bid specs, he was talking about automated / having everybody have cans that all you look uniformed. I know that the committee is talking about that. I would love to have other council members chime in as well. So just email me or text or call what you think should be in the bid spec as well. but we're looking to have that finalized into full council by June. And again, our meetings are only once a month then, starting in June. So hopefully we can get that done and then out to bid for RFP.
So let me put that in a little bit of context, if I could, Mr. Brown. The reason why we're asking that question about your feelings on the automated piece of it is there are a couple haulers, first of all, won't bid on a contract unless it's an automated contract. And quite honestly, this town is impossible to do 100% automated. You just simply, because of the row housing set up in the central part of the borough, there's no way, unless you banned parking on every street on the night of that refuse collection, it's impossible. However, there are portions of the town that could be automated. So you think of like the north end of town, for example, is a very easy area to think of because the houses are more spread out, more off-street parking, those kinds of things. So there's been a hauler or two that have said to us, you know, it would be ideal if the borough would consider a hybrid of both manual collection and automated, because it can reduce costs by going to an automated collection in areas where you can do automated collection. And their feeling is that can offset some of the very significant increase we're most likely going to see when we rebid this contract. As you know, that's why we've kind of ridden out the extensions over and over again, because we know the inevitable is coming. But now we're trying to look for creative solutions to keep that cost down. So one of the concepts is automated where it can be, but at the same time, those people would all need garbage cans. And so the other half of that conversation is if they're getting new garbage cans, then should we not have the conversation of just do it for the entire town as far as new cans and recycling? But that would have to be part of the bid. So I think that's what Mr. Brown is really kind of seeking your feedback on, because it could impact the overall cost of what the contract would be. Nate, I'm correct, right?
Yes.
So the other day, I did not see it, but apparently I have one of those trash cans. They can come out with the arm and pick it up, because my wife's Paulette saw it and said, hey, they just picked up the trash can and it went up and it dumped it and it put it right back at the curb. So they're already doing it for some people. Here's one of my points with my second point is the making everyone purchase it. I already have a can that they can use. So do you make it available for some people?
I was gonna say, I just did an automatic bid for Salisbury Township. They had the haulers provide the cans.
It would be part, yeah. So here's what would end up happening is part of their overall bid would incorporate the cost of cans for the entire town is probably how that ends up going.
Yeah, that way nobody's bearing that cost. That way nobody bears the cost individually. So what happens is part of their bid is, because they really do save a ton of money in workers' comp, overtime, driver costs by using these automatic bids. So what happens is they then provide the trash cans as part of the contract.
I'm not against the automation. I'm against everybody required to buy one when, in my case, I have the exact same can that they were going to provide. I guarantee it, because it came from my mother-in-law's house in Lower Macungie Township, and they used it. I mean, this is 10 years old, and they still were able to use it. So I don't see, I mean, they're expensive. They're not cheap because they're large. And
Bless you.
anyhow, that can be a discussion down the road, but I don't think it should be mandatory. It's going to be expensive.
Jerners?
So I wanted to say about an experience I called and spoke to Mr. Brown about the other day. Walking through the downtown on trash night, the amount of trash that is not in a can at all. And if you look at it from an aesthetic point of view, it makes our town look trashy. And we do have an ordinance that we're supposed to, have things in a and a trash can with a lid. And there's enough people that do not adhere to that now, which is something we have to address, and we will, have to look at that. But if we had the town with the aesthetic look from that, in the same color trash cans and the same color lids on them, actual lids on them, which a lot of people unfortunately are not utilizing, it would help keep the town cleaner, neater, even on a windy day, things from blowing and that. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people who are not utilizing any of those type of systems. So.
Go ahead.
I believe our ordinance says the trash is to be covered, but the recycling is not. And the recycling is what blows all over town.
I would agree with both of you. I think that they both are out of cans and blowing all over town. The part where I won't agree with you on is it's going to cost residents more for the can. I think from what I'm understanding is they're telling us, even with providing cans, that they can have a much more competitive and lower bid because of the cost of labor and all that kind of stuff. So I would be in favor of allowing them to come up with a hybrid. I don't think it's not my position to tell a garbage company how to collect our trash. They're the professionals.
So Mr. Lavenberg, maybe to try to help explain the process, when it goes out to bid, they include that calculated cost of both the trash cans as being part of their bid and the replacement cost of trash cans for each resident, including the ones who are non-automatic pick. Like, so they are providing trash cans for the entire borough as part of their bid. Like, there's no additional cost to the residents, and it still ends up being cheaper for the company.
But what about all the garbage cans that people already own that they're currently using? They just can't use them anymore, and everybody just gets rid of their trash cans?
Yeah,
I mean,
they
to me, it's unnecessary.
I was just going to respond that these are the exact questions we've been talking about and going around about. This is essentially, at least the first time this has come up on council since I've been here when we're talking about trash.
Yeah. Yeah. So 9 years ago, when we
Prior to me.
first, right, it was definitely before you.
Mhm.
We had this automated discussion and then the garbage can mandate discussion back then. And at that point, Borough Council decided not to move forward with the cans from a vendor. I very clearly remember that discussion because part of that discussion was how in the world are we pulling off, are we going to be in the garbage can and recycling can business in the future? And so at that point, we decided not to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, some of these questions have come up because we just recently required everybody to have them. And then what do you do with the old ones? And people are going to get upset for those who just bought them. I mean, we're discussing all of these issues, but because we know that there's going to be a cost increase, it's just a matter of exploring different factors to reduce how much that increase will be. And this is one. We did have a presentation from the Whitetail company, and they just described what are some possible ways that price could be reduced, and this was one of them. And so whether that ends up being the case will ultimately depend on what kind of bids we would get.
Yeah, and again, we could also design a bid spec with several options. What we're not going to do, and we've committed to, we are not going to get ourselves in the same mess that we got in the last time. That's 15 different options going out there. So like, we're sticking this to, we know it works, we know it doesn't work. We're going to keep it to minimum options. But that's definitely an option that we can do, is like, give us an optional bid of this versus another optional bid of,
Right. So we can actually see if
without-
there is a significant
Yeah.
cost savings that would make it worthwhile.
And if you're saying that there's a bunch of carriers that won't touch the bid unless we do the hybrid approach, I think that this allows us to get a competitive bid and also be able to compare
Well,
apples to apples.
So there's also a couple carriers, in particular, that won't touch it if there is a hybrid too, right? So there's one in particular that and I will not say their name because I never say their name. But they will not bid on something if it's automated because they do not have automated trucks. So
I'm stressing again, I'm not against automation. I'm in favor of it. I'm against the mandatory, everyone getting a can. So my solution would be is if they have a set can that they want and you already have it, you should be able to opt out and it should save the borough some money because we're not purchasing those. So maybe that's an option. I'm just throwing it out there.
Great. Mr. Brown, you have anything else?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Get to your phone.
Regarding the trash. You guys still here, right?
Yeah, talk into your phone.
So just real quick, regarding the refuse bid, again, this is a bid, and this is what we want to see go into this bid spec. So I agree with Mr. Labor. You know, where can we opt out? Where can we have the residents choose what they want? Do they want a 35 gallon? Do they want a 90 gallon kind of container? Things of that nature. So we are looking at it. But the one thing I do want to just share with everybody, on average, around the municipalities in the Lehigh Valley, it is a 60% increase in refuse. We have been very fortunate over the past 5 years of the contract that we were locked into. So just to give you an understanding, a 60% increase currently is about a $200 to $240 increase in refuse bill, along with a possible fee of having a container, which could be up to possibly $60 a container. So just giving you some numbers and give me some feedback. And so I can go back to the committee and we can just continue to discuss this and get back to full council in a timely manner. But besides that, I'm going to just report progress. I don't want to continue to with these technical difficulties paying you guys anymore. So thank you for accommodating me.
So what I didn't hear is there automation for recycling also?
Yeah. So any house that would get automated refuse pickup would have automated recycling as well.
So those cans are gone too.
I will tell you the majority of this community does not, and I'm talking majority, does not have a recycling can.
I know my neighborhood does, but I'm only one block.
Yeah. And that's feedback from the hauler.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Up next is Parks and Recreation, Mr. Hunchad.
Thank you, Mr. President. The big item that we discussed was the Veterans Memorial Triangle, which we discussed earlier this evening through that presentation. The Fifth Street Cross, we tabled that as we want to meet with those individuals to discuss their request. Next meeting is next Thursday, May 16th, 4:45. That will be Zoom, as I will not be able to be here at Borough Hall in person, and I'll report progress.
Thank you. Up next, Public Safety, Ms. Baumgartner.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have already taken care of all the items for action. We have not met since the last time. Our next meeting is this Wednesday, May 8th at 9 a.m. at Borough Hall and also via Zoom. So I report progress.
Thank you. Up next, General Administration, Mr. Labenberg.
We have nothing to take action on. We should be able to knock out before our June meeting to take action, the statement of values and also the fleet management policy, the safety policy. With that, I'll report progress. Our next meeting is May 15th at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Budget and Finance. Tonight, I'm going to ask council for a motion to be able to purchase our rescue truck. We've had a couple different presentations through public safety. They came to the council meeting and whatnot. And what I'm looking for here is just a motion to approve for these guys to put the purchase in motion. It's probably realistically a 3+ year lead time until we can get it. And we're just trying to get our place in line and make sure that we can get our price locked because every day we wait, it definitely risks massive price increases. So I guess with that, I'll ask for a motion to be able to put a purchase for the rescue truck.
So moved.
Mr. Labenberg, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Watt? Is there any other discussion from anyone? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
So Nate, just to be correct, you opposed, right? Okay.
6-1. All right, attached is the budget performance up to April. Also, our significant revenues and expenses. And I'll also ask for a motion to approve resolution 2024-14, which is our bill list. Bill list is followed. Bill list total, bill list. The bill list is $455,467.72. This bill list also includes two payrolls, payroll 8 and payroll 9 of $376,016.42. We have payroll taxes of $118,706.16 for a grand total of $950,199.30. And that would be done this May 6th. Have a motion to approve our bills.
So moved.
Mr. Labenberg, a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Bumgarner, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Mr. Brown was
There's the.
that was a delayed aye or a nay. I couldn't tell.
It's an aye.
An aye.
Thumbs up means aye.
Okay. Well, he could have said
The
thumbs
stop-
up.
This is the stop sign.
Oh, he
This
did
is
do the
thumbs
stop.
up. That
Yeah.
means yes.
I love it. Attached.
None of these are close votes.
Attached are our meeting minutes from the May 1st meeting. Our next meeting will be June 5th at 11 a.m. And with that, I'll report progress. Community Relations, Planning and Development, Ms. Watt?
Thank you. Hopefully at our next meeting, we'll get something of a price tag about the concept of design standards and decide based on that price tag if this is something we want to pursue in this year or push it off into the future. And that meeting will be Tuesday, May 14th at 5 p.m. In person. Report progress.
Thank you. Can I ask a question and not to put you on the spot? How many openings do we have left on the Historic Commission?
3 or 4.
Perfect. I was asked that the other day. Somebody asked. That's great. That's almost full. Attached is the Emmaus Public Library's April report. I don't know if you guys look through that or not, but that's a pretty well put together report. It's nicely done. I think they're doing a really great job over there. I know that my son's been going over quite frequently and getting books, and it seems to be operating a lot smoother. And the membership looks like it's good. So all that stuff's great. Up next is Personal Appeals Part 2. There's still nobody here in the audience, and there's nobody else online.
There's somebody.
Wait, who's that guy?
Oh, you have a personal appeal? Yeah, we talked earlier. Thank you. The
Change report.
yep, change report, borough manager's report. My system crashed. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So borough manager's report.
So we've hired a bunch of seasonal park employees. I do have to read them off to you for the official record. Again, I want to reiterate, we are short on lifeguards. That's a major problem for us. So if you know someone, or if you have nothing to do over the summer, we will train and certify you. You have to know how to swim, Jason.
Living flotation.
All right, so some new hires. This is contingent upon their successful completion of the training. There's some work some of them still have to do. I've hired Max Zientara, Corey Campbell, Harper Jones, Isabella Jimenez Fuentes, and Amelia Peculas for the concession stand as an assistant manager. Don Kidd for concession pool and parks. So we're combining them. So they're going to be able to work all three. It's going to be Mary Rabold, Alex Dice, Adriana Frankenfield, Jonah Nemitz, Keaton White, Connor Jones, Seamus Daly, Lindsay Wargo, Samantha Kirus, Caitlin Wolf, and Julian Borkowski. Returning lifeguards will be Molly Bear, Neil Orson, Catherine Raynock, James Raynock, Saren Treaster, Will Reichert, and Enzo Gualdieri. Cashier returning will be Emma Dernan and Kane Wessner, and concession stand returning will be Ashlyn Mugavero. Again, looking for more lifeguards.
Mr. Pepe, would it be possible for us, just like when we have a problem with the water or road closures, could we put out like an automated phone call or a text message to our borough residents to let them know that we are looking for help?
We could do an automation, but we've been posting it everywhere, but we could definitely do an automated call. This is where you come into play. The very large bulk of our summer employees are minors. And, one thing that I always say separates Emmaus from other communities is all those really cool things that we offer, especially things like movie in the park. As you know, there is a time limit and a time of day that minors are not allowed to work. Therefore, this is a voluntold situation for you and me that we need you and me to volunteer to work the concession stand at several movies in the park. And if you don't volunteer yourselves, we will sign you up. That's how voluntold works. Okay. Otherwise, you will be personally putting your cell phone numbers on the concession stand as to why we can't have it open for those events. But I need volunteers from adults for the movie in the park, the daddy daycare with the pajama contest on Saturday, June 15th, with a rain date of June 22nd, and the Flick and Float events, which if you've been to them, you will know that we get 500 to 800 people, depending on what that event is. And the concession stand line is incredible. The Incredibles is on Friday, June 28th, with a rain date of June 29th. And Elf is on July 26th with a rain date of July 29th. I'm going to send you an email in the next day or two, and I'm sure that you will respond to me pretty immediately with which days and times that you will be able to voluntold for those events. It is absolutely essential, though, that adults work those events because of the time cutoff for the minors. So if you and the press would love to voluntold, I will sign you up as well. But at this point, if your spouse, any person over 18 that wants to volunteer for those events, we will take you with open arms. It is a madhouse. I mean, a lot of kids, a lot of adults going to that concession stand. It does very well all those nights. But we need to work it. Otherwise, we need to shut that thing down at 8:00. So there's your voluntold experience. I'm sorry to have to do that, but it's necessary.
Sign me up for Elf. I can watch that movie every day, all year long.
Right.
I'll take Elf.
Please, I'll send you an email. Respond to me.
You're making French fries. You're not watching the
yeah.
darn movie.
It's just the spirit of Christmas, Mr. Lavenberg.
So we certainly do appreciate, though, that you sign up for one of these events. We absolutely need it. we'll take care of all the rest, getting everything set up and all that stuff. But working that concession stand is going to be vital for us. Do I have anything else for you?
Yes.
Yes. So I have two more things for you. Number one is second round interviews for assistant borough manager. The general administration committee will be doing that tomorrow.
10 to 4, correct?
10 to 4. 10 to 3. 10 to 3.
10 to 3. I like it better.
So
Snacks.
yeah, we'll bring snacks. We'll provide food for you. That's gonna be a long day for you. The last thing is Christopher Jost, his probationary period runs out tomorrow. You see the letter from the Public Works Director. The Public Works Director is recommending that we retain him, and he has met the requirements to become a Class 3 employee. So I would ask for a motion to retain him.
All right, motion by Mr. Anders. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Baumgartner. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
I wrote down Colin Jost, by the way, which is a comedian.
Nate was a thumbs up.
All right, thank you. Other than that, I will report progress. If you have any questions for me, ask now. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Under President's business, I have nothing. We will not have an executive session tonight. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I don't see anybody.
I heard.
I can't hear. It's not working. I mean, if they get to play a joke on me, like I can just,
Oh,
right, yeah, just, you can just
okay.
stay here.
Touche.
Yeah,
You know,
Motion.
You know, it costs money for me to be here, right?
yeah,
Oh, hurry up, make the motion.
yeah. Motion by Ms. Baumgartner, seconded by Mr. Anders. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Adjourned at 7:15.
That's fine.
Estimated completion time for the